working on the business with the stuff. Most people don't like sales and marketing. I don't mind sales and marketing, but most people don't like sales and marketing or the things that create revenue or doing the things like getting themselves out there and what have you. I think not ignoring those things in your default calendar of on the business stuff is really important, and build a default diary.
G'day and welcome to the Grow a Small Business Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Trewin. Each week, we speak with an owner who has grown a business with 5 to 30 team members to something bigger. Diving into their numbers and unearthing the pain they've experienced, we explore what they did to overcome each barrier and what they would do differently from day one. Let's get into it. Welcome everyone. Today I'm interviewing Sharon Francisco from Sharon Francisco, based in beautiful Tamborine Mountain, just outside of Brisbane here in Australia. Thanks for your time today, Sharon.
Thanks, Troy. I'm looking forward to this.
Let's start with how we know each other. Francesca Moya we had on episode 678 back in June this year, 4th of June. You know Francesca, and I think she mentioned the podcast to you and you reached out.
Yeah, I've followed her journey, and she's a very inspirational thought leader. So yeah, she's incredible. So very lucky to be here. Thank you.
Tell our audience a bit about your business, what it does and how it makes money.
Yeah, so I started out in 2013. I joined my sister-in-law in her business, and at the time it was just her and a part-time bookkeeper, and we grew that to 12 bookkeepers. So we had 12 bookkeepers working with us. And from there, I kind of faffed about a bit. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to help other people do what I've just done, because I'm not a bookkeeper or an accountant. I'm actually pretty crap at numbers, Troy. So so if I can do it, anyone can do it. So then I started in 2019, just before COVID, actually. And I have a few friends in the bookkeeping world, and I reached out to one of them. I said, do you reckon bookkeepers would need a coach? She said, yeah, I think so. She said, let's give it a crack and we'll do a webinar, and the rest is history, so they say.
Great. So from your experience working with your sister and her bookkeeping business and building that up to 12 team members, so you now help other bookkeepers grow their own businesses.
Yeah, so I came off the back of, I used to coach business coaches in Australia. I had about 130 business coaches I used to coach in Australia, and I was promoted to London. And I set up the entity over there with the CEO, and I had about 30 coaches that I coached over there. So I came out of all this amazing coaching stuff and learning all about coaching and growing businesses and things. And then I just kind of templated what I learned from that onto the bookkeeping business.
Oh, great. Fantastic. And so you've kind of answered the next question, how you started out, but maybe I think you've got an interesting start to your journey. Maybe do you want to run the audience through that?
Yeah, so I grew up in outback New South Wales. So I grew up in a sheep and cattle station, 136,000 acre sheep and cattle station. We grew up without electricity or hot running water, and it was the best way to grow up. It was awesome. And I'll never forget the first day of school. I was so scared. I was 6 years old and I was so scared. And then just after that, I just seemed to embrace everything to do with life. I was sent away to a private girls' school in Canberra for a couple of years. It was just such a contrast from growing up in the bush to I was, hanging out with high court judges' daughters and diplomats' daughters. And it was like, that was the first time I really noticed the contrast in, that whole thing about you're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Yep.
And I was like, the girls in Cobar, they were talking about, all the things that we were going to do, and we're all excited about the future and everything. And then the whole conversation there was just completely different, not good, bad, or indifferent. It was just different. It's like just where you plunge yourself, it's so different. And then I was so confused after that. I just packed up and went overseas and lived and worked in Canada for 12 months on a Charolais stud cattle property or farm over there. And just to kind of let that all marinate and figure out, that whole upbringing and what I experienced, and then going to a beautiful, amazing school, and then just then came back and I worked underground in the mines in the town that we were at. So I was the only woman that was working underground in the mine at that time.
Oh, wow. And so you started your current business in 2019. How old were you then, 6 years ago, when you decided to go on your own?
Yeah, I'm 55 now, so yeah.
49. And any other key numbers you're happy to share to illustrate the growth of the business? You said the bookkeeping business got up to around 12 team members. How many team members did they have when you started there and really grew it?
Yeah, so it's just my sister-in-law and a part-time bookkeeper. And about a week after I started in that business, Troy, and I think this has a lot to do with the journey, the messy stuff that really makes it. And you kind of go back on, I think, as the the grip that you've got to have in small business. But a week after I joined her in a business, my 26-year marriage broke down.
Oh, shit.
Went from a, hey, this is going to be fun. Let's see if we can work it. I had two teenage sons, and my ex-husband then was fly in, fly out. So I was doing a lot of travel in my work before that. So I had to stay put in Brisbane, and I kind of had to make it work. And then not too long after that, my brother got a job in West Africa in Senegal in one of the mines. I heading up one of the mines over there and packed up tenure and all the kids and left. So I didn't have a husband, and I didn't have a, a sister-in-law that knew all the bookkeeping stuff. So I kind of just had to make it work, and I did. And I think sometimes when you put in those situations, it's kind of sink or swim. And I actually made myself very sick in that time. I think I freaked out so much about the separation and whether I'd make it work. And I got this thing, I started getting drop attacks, and which are when you fall to the ground, and I was vomiting and really unwell. I'd have to be in bed for up to 2 days.
Wow.
And, I had 15 of those in 1 year, and I couldn't drive or anything. So thank goodness my family were Tanya and my brother were just amazing in that time, because if I was in a regular job, it wouldn't have worked. I needed to recover. And, I have a thing called Meniere's disease, so I'm completely deaf in my right ear. And if we have time at the end, I've got a really unique story about how I cured myself with that as well.
No, tell us now.
Well, I went to a whole bunch of specialists. I went to an ear, nose, and throat specialist. I had MRIs. I thought I had a brain tumor, MS, or Meniere's disease. And I thought I'd never heard of Meniere's disease, and I didn't want MS. So I thought a brain tumor, at least I can cut it out. And they did all these tests. They said, no, you've got Meniere's, which is a cluster of symptoms. I don't even know what it is. And they said, oh, you just take this Stemetel. I don't know if you know Stemetel. It's meant to stop dizziness, and you should be right. And I said, I did, and it's not working. Like, you're going to have to help me with something else. And I said, oh, well, you're just going to have to learn to live with it. Oh my God. And I think this is if I'm honest, if I think back, this is the way I approach a lot of things. It's like, well, bullshit. I'm not going to learn to live with that. I'm going to figure it out. And so for 12 months, every night, I used to Google alternate cures for Meniere's disease. And I found this forum one night. This lady posted in an American forum. I wasn't posting or anything, I was just reading. And she said, get yourself along to an upper cervical chiropractor. So I copied, pasted, and put Brisbane. There was about 3 in Australia at that time. So there's specialised chiropractors that adjust your neck. So if you've had a car accident, I hadn't had a car accident or anything. He said, have you had a blunt force or anything? I said, not really. And then we realised that I did a lot of barefoot water skiing back in the day, and falling on the water was very hard. He said, it's like a blunt force like that. It's like a foot on a hose, and the messages from your head can't get through to your body, and your body can sustain that for up to 15, 20 years. And you either get dizziness, headaches, migraines, whole bunch of symptoms that people live with but probably don't even know. And one adjustment on my neck, I didn't have any more drop attacks.
Wow. That's,
Unbelievable.
yeah, it's phenomenal.
Unbelievable. I still get dizzy, and I still had to see him quite a bit afterwards. Now I'm about every 6 months where I get adjusted. But honestly, upper cervical chiropractic is incredible. I contacted the Meniere's Association. They didn't want to know anything about it.
Yeah. And well, thank goodness Google's there to help you find that solution.
Well, yeah.
That's amazing.
So
Yeah.
I was going through all that when I was building the bookkeeping business. So again, I think sometimes, when you're very vulnerable and you're not sure, I'm certain that I gave it to myself, Troy.
Yep. When was the moment you felt like you had succeeded?
Yeah, I read that question. I don't know if I have yet. I don't know.
I'm definitely deleting this 80% of get bloody answer that way.
Do they?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. I reckon that when I first did my very first webinar, when I had this friend that said, why don't we see and we'll do a webinar into our database? And I did it, and I got 10 clients like that.
This is for your current business now, yeah?
Yeah. And I was like, wow. I just couldn't believe it. And even sending the invoices out, it's like, wow, you just send an invoice out and you get paid. So good. So yeah, so I think that was when I realized I can do anything.
And what does success look like to you?
Oh, I think success looks like for me that just to have the choice. I think having choices is the biggest thing for me to have success. And then my goal is to help as many women in finance be financially free. And, when you get one on one, and you would know this, Troy, that when you get one on one, people tell you a whole bunch of stuff, especially if you tell them, going through a divorce and all the health stuff. And I'm pretty open about the journey that I've been through. And I think when you get one on one with women, I think a lot of the times they may feel stuck, stuck being in this situation, a marriage, or a situation that they may not necessarily be happy with. And I think feeling empowered around making your own money and being able to make your own decisions is a big thing for women. And if I can do that through this vehicle of, helping bookkeepers and accountants grow their businesses, but I think the big thing that I help with is confidence. And I think my version of success, if I can help as many women see the light around that, that's the big thing for me. And also traveling halfway between here and France. My husband's French, and we want to buy a place in his village in Provence. We got married there last year, and super keen to do that. So if we can create our life doing that, I'd be very happy.
No, I love Provence. Have you been to Annecy?
No,
Oh,
I
it's,
haven't heard it.
oh, it's gorgeous. 30 minutes southeast of Geneva, near the Swiss border. Lake Annecy's beautiful. And my now ex-wife and I, when I was living in London, probably 15, 16 years ago, we're traveling around Europe a bit. You know what it's like in Europe, very different to Australia. But to take a wrong turn in Europe and you go through three countries accidentally. But yeah, we stumbled upon this beautiful town called Annecy, and there's a river that goes through the old part of the town. It's just gorgeous. And then a couple of years later, good friends of mine, an Aussie and an Italian, they'd actually bought a beautiful apartment there. But it's one of my favorite places in France, Annecy. So next time you're in that area, definitely check it out.
Definitely. Well, we're heading back there next year. We go back every year. So yeah, sounds great.
Number one thing you'd recommend to marketing a fast-growing business?
I think, especially now that so much is automated and we don't have to talk to people, and especially my target market with bookkeepers and accountants, they can happily live behind a screen and on a computer. And I feel like the thing that's different now is we don't get face to face. We don't sort of rub shoulders with each other. So I think I learned about personal branding in 2017 with a lady by the name of Jane Anderson. She's a personal branding expert. I remember she said to me, Troy, this is where you get to be you. And I said, Jane, I can't be me. I've been told all my life, you be quiet, you be loud. And she said, well, some people love that and some people won't. And I was just blown away by that. And I think the more me I've become me, the more success I've achieved. And I think getting out, getting on stages, talking on podcasts, getting in front of people and connecting and having conversations that are real, I think is the best way you can market your business.
How did you fund your business?
I was at a real crossroads and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I took 3 months off on my sister's advice, and I had a tax check and I thought I can afford to take 3 months off. And pretty much that. I had that tax check and I figured out what I wanted to do and I thought I'd give it a go, and it's just grown organically since then.
And do you just work with bookkeeping business owners here in Australia, or you've got international clients as well?
Yeah, I've had international clients before. I'm really keen to get into the American and Canadian market just because of our time frames. UK, of course, I had a meeting with a guy from the UK yesterday that's a little bit trickier, but definitely keen to get international as well.
Do you do much paid marketing, like paid ads?
A little bit. I've got a social media team that they help me out with scripts and things like that. And I have put money towards Facebook and different things. I don't put a bunch of money into that though.
Because where I'm going with that is, have you heard of the EMDG, Export Market Development Grant?
No.
I'll send it through to you, but a guest reminded me a couple of years ago that you can actually use, so it's I think they've recently changed it, but it used to be three tiers: 40 grand a year, 80 grand a year, or 150 grand a year for up to 5 years. So 5 times you can access the funding. And she is based here in Australia, but most of her clients or avatars, prospects were in the US. And so she was using that money. It's match funded, so you need to match it, obviously, but for Facebook ads to get clients in the US. So you don't have to just be exporting a physical product. If you're exporting a service, which you are, there's the federal grant there, the Export Market Development Grant. I'll shoot that through to you to consider if you want to ramp up US and UK.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Thanks for that, Troy. The other thing I think too is that it's just a numbers game. I know when I built that bookkeeping business, I know a lot of the times bookkeepers and accountants feel like they just have to be referred work. And I had a goal of meeting 5 accountants a week, and I didn't really know how to do it, Troy. I just thought I'd try a whole bunch of different things. So I set a goal of meeting 5 accountants a week. I don't recommend it because I did a lot of cold calling. Cold calling accountants don't really work. But I started building it with that, and then I started, which is what I've done with a few businesses. I tapped into a strategic alliance, and then from there, that just opened up my whole world. So yeah.
I'll also send you a great podcast I did with James Ashford. He's in the UK, longest podcast yet, 2 hours, I think. He built a SaaS product up for accountants to be able to get proposals out literally while they're still in the meeting with the prospect.
Proposal, yeah, he's
Yeah.
awesome. I've interviewed him.
Oh, have you?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
he's so
he's
good.
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, and after 5 years, team of 12, sold for 8-digit pounds, so over 10 million quid is what he sold for to Sage in the UK. So
Yeah, he only did that a couple of years ago too, I think.
Yeah.
It's when I spoke with him, it was soon after he'd sold.
yeah,
He's a nice bloke too.
he is. I follow him on LinkedIn too. He's very funny as well.
Yeah.
He swears almost as much as me.
Nice.
If you were to start up today with plenty of funding, would you go into your industry?
Absolutely. It's the best industry. They're the nicest people and they're the most humble people, and they just want to do the right thing to their own detriment. And I don't know if you know much about the industry, but scope creep is amazing. They just want to do the right thing. So they work and work and work. Most of my clients have never had holidays for like years and years. And if they do, they take their laptop. I worked with an accountant and she hadn't had a holiday for 22 years.
Wow. Yeah.
Can't get her off a plane now. She's been on a plane twice since I've been working with her in the 1 year. Having a great time. So yeah, they're beautiful people. And I feel like, not being an accountant or bookkeeper myself, I've got this lens that I see differently through, I think. And I'm, just definitely see where it turns the lights on for them and they can see what's possible.
Can you outline the most stressful point in your small business growth journey so our audience can learn from it?
Just all the personal stuff, like the separation, the Meniere's disease, the hurdles, personal hurdle, and the belief stuff, that whole second guessing thing. It's like, am I good enough? And am I delivering enough? And I don't know, I just found the whole personal stuff really tricky just to manage all that self-belief stuff, as well as, I had this whole process that I use because, that whole meeting 5 accountants a week and separating after 26 years in marriage. It's just like, you just feel so lost. And I was just so lost. I thought, you know what am I going to do? And I thought I'd just be a lonely cat lady.
Mm.
And I thought, and all these women my age, I was in my mid-40s, and all these women were saying, there's no good men out there, and all the good ones are taken or married or whatever. And I'm like, that's got to be bullshit, because my dad was a good man. My brother's a good man. Even my ex-husband was an amicable separation. He's a good bloke too. We still talk.
Mm.
So I thought, I'm going to template this whole 5 accountants a week appointment on dating, because I thought, you know what? I dipped my toe in. I was really excited to try online dating, and anyone that's out there that's tried online dating would be giggling now, because it's not a fun thing to do. It feels very intimidating, and people don't turn up the same way as when you're talking to them, and it's just a bloody nightmare. It's hard. And I was just about ready to tap out when I thought, you know what? This is just a numbers game. It's just like business. I just got to have more numbers, and I've got to fish in the right pond. So I literally Googled the most expensive dating app, and I found it. I registered for it for 3 months. I had to sign up for 3 months. And every male profile that I looked at before were holding a fish, like a fish that they'd caught.
Yeah.
And their fun, what they did for fun was Sunday sessions. And I don't fish and I don't do Sunday sessions. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to eliminate Australian men. So I deleted all Australian men with this app, and I lined them up 5 a weekend. I had 5 coffees a weekend. And long story short, I found Pierre very quickly, and we got married in Provence last year. We've been together 10 years.
No, congratulations.
So I think there's a lot of different lessons you can learn from business and template that onto your personal life and vice versa.
Yep. What area in business do you feel you've had to work on the most to add the greatest value?
Investing in myself and paying a truck ton of money for mentors and coaches. I've invested a truck ton of money in that.
What have you enjoyed the least about managing fast growth?
The wobbles that you get when that happens, just the feeling of, am I in the right lane? Am I doing the right thing? Am I good enough? All the second guessing stuff.
What do you love most about growing a small business?
Oh, it's the best thing in the world. I never want to stop this. We met with a financial planner the other day and he said, when do you want to retire? I said, I don't ever want to retire from this. This is awesome. I love what I do.
And what has been the biggest mindset shift for you in your small business growth journey?
Just that it's possible. I was I was listening to this. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, the Bad Bitch Grannies. Have you ever heard of them?
No.
I was listening to them and they said, what advice would you give your younger self? And the lady said, does a crackhead say, I can't get high because I'm broke? She says, no, they just make it happen. Like, just to make it happen, I think. And I think the biggest mindset shift is that just never give up. If you can fund yourself to the next month to figure out a way to then go and get more clients, I think just to know that if no one's got it figured out, Troy, I think everyone's trying to do the best that they can. And I think we take a lot of the stuff that happens too personally.
Yeah. The number one habit you think a small business owner needs to develop and maintain?
A default diary to be able to work on their business. So I don't know if you would have heard of a default diary before. So default diary is meant to be habit driven, not task driven. I think that's where a lot of people stuff up. That's, I just can't stick with my calendar. And it's because we don't want to do the things that we don't want to do, so we'll overlook it. Yeah. So that's got to be like going to the gym. I go to the gym 4 days a week and it's habit. I get up, my alarm goes off at 4:45 every morning. I get up, I go to the gym. I don't even have time to second guess it. And I think working on the business with the stuff, most people don't like sales and marketing. I don't mind sales and marketing, but most people don't like sales and marketing or the things that create revenue or doing the things like getting themselves out there and what have you. I think not ignoring those things in your default calendar of on the business stuff is really important, and build a default diary.
Want specific advice to help you get your business through its number one growth challenge? Book a free 20-minute growth chat with me, Troy, the founder of Grow a Small Business. I'll recommend some resources which will help you grow your business with ease so you can live the lifestyle you've signed up for. Go to growasmallbusiness.com and click on Growth Chat. Can you talk to how you've added people to the team, some wins, mistakes, and advice for those listening?
I believe that a lot of companies believe that they've got culture and they look after their team. And I think in my experience of working for companies, I think there's a lot of lip service behind that. And I don't believe that it's authentic. And I think if you're true with how you build a team and you care deeply about your team and the way that you bring them on. And of course, when I was building the bookkeeping business with Tanya, we had a whole process that we went through. And a lot of that was about eliminating the people, not accepting the people. So I used to always say, if there's a red flag, you need to fly it now because it's not going to miraculously change when you sign the contract. So I think, that high